Good morning. It's good to be with you again this morning, this week. Second week in January, I think.
Yeah,
Second week in January. Like wow, it feels longer than that.
It all gets blurry.
But I think because of the fog, which Chris, you really love, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's his birthday present.
Why do you love the fog, Chris?
Well, it's some combination of growing up in the fog. It's just nice when everybody around me has the same head state that I experience every day. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. I think there's always been you go way back in the family tree far enough. There's some Scottish heritage, and I love that. I just think, I don't know. I find it refreshing, right? And like for the first time, I step out in the fog, and it's like, okay, now I'm actually breathing something. I don't know why, but
interesting.
It revives my soul.
Okay.
I personally would say, give me -20 and sunshine, and lots of snow. I'll live in that much easier.
I'm with you with the sun. I really like the sun. I'm trying to like it. I'm trying to enjoy it with you, Chris. But my sons like it because they think it reminds them of Chilliwack a little bit more. So,
yeah.
But I didn't grow up with it, so yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, it is not fun to drive in.
Yeah.
So,
that's
but
right.
if just stroll by the lake, or is just an enjoyable afternoon. You know
what I like? What I do like is when it starts off foggy and then it lifts and it's like, ta-da, the sun comes out and it's just like, So I do like that part of it, but it hasn't done that. So
no.
Yeah, but. Anyways, we hope you are enjoying the fog, as hopefully you can have Chris's attitude, which is much better than ours. Sunday, we had the Garrickys here, Paul and Tanya. It was really great to hear from them. You had them over for lunch. Tell us a little bit about that.
It was good just because it also feels like, and it wasn't my full reason, but it was part of my reason. I said, Chris has come to you, Lyndon has come to you, and I haven't had more than like 5 minutes when they've been like passing through town to talk, and most of the time it's like a Flames Edmonton rivalry that we end up talking about anyways. So it was really good to just sit down with both of them and just connect with them, and even going back to talking about Briarcrest days, because it's possible our time might have overlapped there by a year. So even just little things like that, and
that's cool.
And it was really good just to hang out with them and hear some of their heart for Romania, which we talked about a little bit, but it's also like just tell us about life and stuff like that. Get to know you, and so that was really good. And there was a little bit of maybe you could come visit us in Romania. Bring a team.
That sounds awesome.
Right?
Stuff like that.
Can you and I put together a team since Chris has been there so many times?
I think so.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, right. Fat chance. We can all go.
Yeah, that sounds good. They were great. I just love hearing what I liked how they told us what was going on and then how he brought the message. But one of the things that she said that I thought was, and I think he repeated, was so cool, was what you can do more in, or something about in year 1 or 2, it just seemed like nothing was happening. And then by year 8, oh my goodness, look at all this. And she made an analogy to that there's a saying, you think you can do less, more in 5 years than you can, but less than 10 years than you can, something like that. And I just thought that was pretty cool that they're seeing so much fruit now, when at the first couple of years they weren't. And isn't that so true of our journey, right? With God sometimes, like, why am I not seeing anything? But then when you look back, oh my goodness, that.
Well, that's foundational work, right? Like, building a good base just sometimes stinks.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
takes forever. Don't see results. Yeah.
Well, exactly. Right. And I know that when Sheena and I went on sabbatical, we did some construction at the camp, and one of our jobs, one of my jobs, well, Sheena was out raking hay. Paul and I were digging out the foundation of what would be the garage, the storage shed. And that's all we did for days. We just dug, we just worked. It was awesome to go back. Actually, part of it's because I dug too deep. I was just like giving her. And then Thomas came along and went, can you put some back? I can't remember exactly how he said it.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay. Anyways, but then to go back on a few years later with a team, and Paul was like, "This is it. This is what we did." And
cool.
now a lot of other people came in and did a lot of work.
Of course.
But man, when you're doing that foundational stuff and you're just digging, that's all you're doing for hour and hour and hour and hour, and hauling away dirt, and you just go, okay, what did I didn't build a shed.
Yep.
I just dug a hole.
Yep.
And I think that's that's what comes to mind when they talk about that. Is how we're probably likely you might be in a season of just foundation. Just build a base. And if you build it well, then the results will really start to show later.
And you have to take the time to do that. And I think that's important for us, even just as an analogy for our faith, which we can get into what he talked about Hebrews 11 in a minute. But there's some soul work that we all have to stop and do, and I feel like COVID and coming out of COVID has been a time where we've had to rethink and do some of that soul work, right? It's we all want to get in and do, but it won't be right. It won't be as valuable. It won't be as lasting unless we do that soul work, right? Like it's got to be from this whatever the Holy Spirit has inside us. It can't be us just, I want to do, But that leads into Hebrews 11. We talked about Hebrews 11 or Paul led us through Hebrews 11, and he kind of pointed out, I think the phrase that he pointed out is things unseen, or something unseen that happened several times. Even though they didn't see what was promised, they still acted or believed. Had faith. So what stood out to you?
Well, and like he talked about things that we hope for and things that are unseen, right? So and how God really is the foundation of all of that, right? And he took us through all that chapter, that it was God who did all of the faith working in each one of those individuals, and almost all of them did not see the fruit of their labor. Right? They did not see the foundation that they were a part of. Like they're like rocks in the foundation of that building that eventually, when the New Testament came, became Christ and the church. And this is right? And that's a different thing about Hebrews 11, but like the fact that they didn't see it. And he talked then about how faith in terms of subject and object, and he said, today I just want to talk about God, right? If God is the object of the faith, then actually there is extreme amounts of faith that we can put in, because if my faith, my trust in something is the whole point, then it's going to falter. So he used that analogy of the ice, right? So when you step onto ice that's only a couple inches thick, or even an inch thick, that no matter how much trust and faith you have in that ice, like you could have huge amounts of trust and you put your foot on that ice and you're going to go through, because the focus of your faith is on your trust in that
summoning
ice,
up enough faith.
But he's saying, no, if we believe God to be who God is, then that ice itself is so deep that it doesn't matter how little or how extra faith we have when we put our foot on that ice, that because that ice is faithful and true, that's where the focus comes. And so the focus needs to be in the fact that God is worthy of our faith to be put our faith in. And so that really stuck with me, because it it had less to do with do I have enough faith? That's not the point. Is my faith in God Himself, and not in that sense of trust that I have, right? And I think that's also what Jesus challenged the disciples with. Where's your faith? I am God, and I'm sitting in this boat, and you're scared of wind and waves. Yeah. You haven't understood who is sitting with you. So it doesn't matter how much or little faith you have. Is that faith in God Himself? Then Paul said, then you can run across the ice, and without any hesitation or fear, right? And that really stuck with me.
No, that's it was so good, because it's all about who you put your faith in, or what you put your faith in, not about how much you think you can conjure up. We've run into that again and again in Mark too, like these, somebody just have a little faith and he acts on it, right? I don't think that is meaning that we don't stretch our faith. And what I mean is, like, when He asks us to do something that we don't understand, that's how we grow our faith, or how He grows our faith. So it's always about trusting Him and what He wants us to do. And then the next step, I think that you'd think that it would get easier, right? Faith would get easier, but I think it never. I don't think He means for our faith to get easier. I think He means for us He'll lead us into harder and harder things, just like working out or something,
Well, and that's why I think He finished with Hebrews 12.
Yes.
Since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let's throw off and every hindrance, and run with endurance, run with perseverance. Like that idea of there's going to be some difficult days, right? Like where He talked about you're just going along and you have no idea where you're going, but that last journey is always going to be the hardest. But that's also where God is going to show Himself to be the most faithful too. Right.
Yeah, and then you can always look back on what other people have experienced, but then what you've experienced as you have trusted, and know that, okay, this next thing, I may not know how it's going to work out, but so I think that faith is always, it should never be easy, because if it's easy, then are we really having faith, right? Faith is this, and I that actually is encouraging in the fear of it, because if I am a little bit nervous about what's next, that's good, because I'm having to trust, right? I'm moving forward. I don't know.
And isn't that also why we need each other's testimony so much? Because it's not just my own faith experiences that I can build off of. It's hearing how God was faithful to others. I think that's one of the main reasons that that even the writer of Hebrews looks back on all the Old Testament figures. It's look how God was faithful to this person, this person, this person, this person. Now have some confidence that He will be faithful in your life too. The other thing that's coming to mind as you guys, as we, kind of play this back a little bit, is think about all the people, like when we bring this into our Lakeview context, right? Think about all the people who, had that vision of God to plant a church in West Kelowna, that faithfully acted, that, but have not seen it today. Those that aren't with us. I mean, this isn't just something that happens, in places like Romania or in other, mission fields. This is what, this happens again and again all around us, where, people feel moved by the Holy Spirit, test that, then eventually step out in faith with others or on their own, and work for years and years and years. And I'm not trying to suggest that Lakeview today is like this pinnacle achievement, but it's just a faithful journey, right?
That's so good. There's a story that I haven't been able to trace down. So maybe if you can help me out here, or one of you guys might know too. I don't know if it's legend or if it's story or real, but I've heard this story of I thought it was a woman in China or India or somewhere who started praying for her country. And it might be a region, I don't know but she started praying for her country, and she just prayed her whole life. And I don't know how many years after she died, there was this huge what do you call it when the Holy Spirit comes in?
Like a revival?
Revival, this huge, outgrowing of the Spirit and the Spirit's work, and hundreds and thousands of people were coming to Christ. And the story kind of traced it back to starting with her prayers that, like we were talking about, she never saw it, but she was faithful in prayer, and that, even just that legend, if it's not true, for me, has helped me pray for, people that I don't think will ever come to the Lord, but I gotta be praying, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
my neighbors and whatever, yeah. So
And it's a faithfulness then to that prompting, right? That, okay,
Yeah.
God, I think you're prompting me to pray, so I
Yes.
will trust that.
Yeah.
And
I may not see it, right?
Yeah.
Like I may not see whatever I'm praying for, but
Yeah.
which
you're
which
gonna work.
stinks for those who are like results driven, because
Yeah.
you're like, we
Yeah.
want to see something, we
Yeah.
want to see something.
But isn't that the challenge of faith? Like part of it, like for
100%.
all of us, we're
Yeah,
all challenged.
absolutely. Yeah.
But that takes you back to like that beginning part of like, sometimes you actually just end up working on foundation for a really
Yep.
long time.
Yep.
And the perception is, seriously, nothing is happening here.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
And
think
that's-
of Moses, right? For 40 years in the wilderness before he was called to the bush, and then to go. 40 years. I mean, I just turned 50. That's like, my whole, more than my adult life, all preparation.
Yeah.
I've been able to see some cool things, but he didn't see it for 40
Yeah.
years, right?
So you know what that means?
Yeah.
That means God has like an unbelievable next step for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Eh?
We're going to show up on Sunday.
You've been only prepping for the last 40 years.
I'm not, I don't want to make it about me, but what I'm saying is like.
No. You're going to lead us down to the lake and we're going to park the water. I got it. Okay. You're going to Kelowna.
Oh yeah, that's great. Some people swim across, we walk across. Yeah.
Oh, look, Ogopogo.
I would love to see what we could find. I would just throw it. Anyways,
Oh yeah.
we're off topic.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, faith. That was really cool. I really enjoyed them, and they just seemed really genuine. Like, so, is there anything about life in Romania that they talked about that? Well, you've been there, but they talked
Yeah.
about it like that. You were like, oh wow.
Yeah, a
that's-
little bit like we talked about, Paul's car and stuff like that, that was there, and kind of they had a whole thing, and it was really good. But I do always go back to Cheryl Johnson, who was there on I think our Chris's first Romania
Yeah, the
trip,
first team I led.
and and how like you wouldn't believe it to see it like until you've seen it. So in the morning, all the cows are kind of let out, and they come out of the houses as it like
Out of the houses?
Well, like
The backyards.
Oh, okay.
backyard, so it's all fenced in,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Whoever it is opens the fence. The cow just kind of goes out and then walks along the road down to the end of the road and into the field that's just over there, because they know that that's what they do every day.
Yeah.
And they go over there. They eat for the day. It's like they have a job. My job is to eat and to produce milk and whatever.
Yeah.
And they finish their job, and then for whatever reason, I don't know if there's a call or a bell or something.
Yeah.
But they all walk back, and then all of these cows just kind of walk back on this road, and they find their house, and everybody goes. And it's like
that's
one
cool.
of those scenes in the movies about the 50s when the husbands would come out of their driveway, and they all get into the car, and they all go down the
They all
thing.
leave,
They all
yeah.
go off to work, and they come back at 5 o'clock, and they're ready.
Right
Right?
after.
Like it's just
That's
it was
funny.
just like that. So that picture always stuck with me. And Cheryl actually took a video of it while
Oh, that's cool.
like they're walking back from wherever they were,
Yeah.
and there's just these cows that are walking
They just
along the
know.
road in front of them, and they just know where they're going.
They're like carrier
See you
pigeons.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Just carrier cows. They know, from where they came. There is a
But
shepherd in the process.
I also
and,
would love a punch
spoiler
clock
alert.
at the
Yeah.
at the door or something like that.
And that was a tough day at work. I just had to.
That's right. Well,
Eat so
from
much.
the cow's perspective, they're ready to be milked, and
Yeah, I guess that's true.
that's part of it, right?
Yeah.
But no, there is a shepherd that comes along and gathers them up or herdsman.
Yeah,
I don't know.
but they
what's
kind of
the
know where they're going.
Proper term.
Yeah.
There's only one big field, and that's where they go. And it is a cultural experience.
Yeah.
That I'm sure people in St. Croix are like,
Yeah.
oh, come on, guys, get over it.
Yeah,
But they're like.
yeah.
Such hospitable people, they
Yeah.
would never make you feel bad for
that's
thinking
neat. Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
a weird touristy thing.
Yeah.
But also, like, I thought there was a lot of elements of the country that actually were first world, but Tanya even said, like, it's kind of a second world country with some third world problems, right? And like, there's all of that stuff. And by the way, your neighbor is going through a war. Just go ahead and deal with all that, right?
Yeah.
So like all of those challenges. So for the fact that they could say, hey, we're bringing, you know, gift bags and food and beds and refrigerators and washers and dryers into Ukraine
So
just
good.
so that people can survive. And
Yeah.
like that's what excites me about hearing some of their stuff and hearing that camp is just doing its thing. And Paul and Tanya are kind of sitting back and just watching God do amazing things now
Yeah.
through a lot of local people as well too. So that's
really
awesome.
cool. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we hope that if you didn't see it, you can watch the service from Sunday and be praying for Paul and Tanya as they're going to be traveling, I don't know, over Canada, maybe even into the States.
Actually, quite a bit across the States too.
Okay.
We have a lot of supporters all around. So.
Chris and I were talking to them in the morning and said, so what's their furthest away in the States, I guess, and it was Texas. So, you know, just pray for them as they head down to the deep south there.
Yeah.
No, but just be praying for them on their journeys. That is a tough time for missionaries to be away from home, right? And new, even though they're welcoming, loving faces, it's new every week and whatever that just can be. So pray for them and for the work in Romania. We here at Lakeview are looking forward to our annual meeting on February 5th. We told you it was going to be at 6:30. We have changed that to 1:30. We realized that 6:30 is at night, and
It's just too close to my bedtime.
you know,
that's
Chris
it.
has to get to bed, so
I-
we have to make sure that he is okay. Because this morning he didn't get much sleep last night, and we can tell. So anyways, it makes it more available for everybody that doesn't like to drive at night. So 1:30, February 5th. We are looking ahead to the year, looking back to what God has done, and praying forward. So put that in your calendar, 1:30 on February 5th. Otherwise, we'll see you on Sunday. We're looking forward to Sunday again, and we want you to be pondering throughout the week and putting into prayer and to practice prayer-led, spirit-empowered family who say yes to Jesus. We're a family who is filled up and encouraged here, and we go out and we serve the Lord wherever we are, blessing whoever we're in front of. So with that encouragement, I hope you have a great rest of your week, and we will see you later.